What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. In the last video, I finally was able to get finished up greasing all of the bearings and the suspension linkages. I decided to go ahead and replace the sprockets and the chain. What I'm doing with it, they were probably just fine, the ones that were on there. The OEM teeth look pretty good, they're just really rusty. I personally think the OEM silver chains and sprockets are ugly, so I did decide to go ahead and get a black Renthal. I did decide to go ahead and also upgrade the front sprocket, and then I got a gold D.I.D X-ring chain. I'll be getting all of this installed. We'll get the wheel back on the bike, and then I'm going to go ahead and get all of the suspension set up as well. Stay tuned. Here are the sprockets and the chain that I picked up. I've always been a big fan of how these Renthal sprockets looked. I've always liked the little hole patterns that they put in there. Went ahead and decided to pick up the matching ultralight front sprocket as well. The chain, I got the D.I.D ER. It is X-ring. Don't really know a whole lot about these X-ring chains. This is the first one that I've ever bought. It's supposed to require less maintenance and last just as long. Usually I would go with the easiest thing first. That would be the rear sprocket, because it's just these 6 bolts on the rear. Pull the old sprocket off, torque the new one down. However, I need to run the old chain on this thing so that I can actually connect it back up so that I can remove the front sprocket. I don't have a sprocket removal tool, so the only way to really get this thing off is to have the rear wheel on the back. Put the chain on, you hold the brake down, and that way you can break that bolt loose. I'm gonna get this little plastic guard off of here, go ahead and get the rear wheel mounted back up just so that I can take the front sprocket off. And then once I get the front sprocket on, I should be able to get the rear sprocket on and just run the chain through there. Both sprockets are fully installed. Front one here was very easy. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than what it was. I did go ahead and reconnect the rear wheel so I could connect the chain so that I could get some pressure on this thing so I could actually turn that bolt. You do have to remove this little cover here first to get to the front sprocket. 2 bolts and this thing comes right off of there. The long one goes in the top up here, short one goes in the bottom. I thought that I was going to have somebody else hold the brake from the other side, but I was able to reach over with my left hand, push the brake down, and then with my right hand I was able to break it loose. Cleaned everything up really good. Got got the new sprocket on there. Couldn't find the exact torque specs for this bike, but every other bike just like it says anywhere from 20 to 25 foot-pounds. I put 24 on there, should be good. Putting the new sprocket on, you do have to run the chain on the underside whenever you push the rear brake down. No issues though, it worked out perfectly. I pulled the rear wheel back off, I got the new sprocket on, it's flipped over right now. I did go ahead and grease where all of the wheel bearings are at. Here's the new rear sprocket. The bolts get torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. I did leave the wheel and tire on there when I broke the nuts loose. It's a whole lot easier that way. Both sprockets are good to go. Both sprockets are fully installed. Everything is torqued down. I should be able to get the wheel reinstalled. I want to get the axle greased up, and then I want to add some anti-seize on these little tensioners back here as well. After that, I should be able to pull the new chain out, roll it through, and get it installed. Rear wheel is on, new chain is on. However, when I went to tighten the rear axle over here, you can see that I ran into a major problem. This actually did not happen when tightening the rear axle, but when I was tightening it, I saw that one of the chain guides had slid up just a little bit. Noticed the axle block had moved up just a little bit. It wasn't lined up anymore, and when I went to loosen the axle nut is when this happened. Owner's manual calls for around 94, 95 foot-pounds. Read online that a lot of people have had this issue, that it causes over tightening. That the one major factor that if you do over tighten this locking nut over here, it has these little locking mechanisms on the inside. And once they get bunched up or tightened, it is almost impossible to get this thing off. I did take out both of the bolt tensioners. These things do get gummed up. Just spray some PB Blaster on the threads. You can pretty much kind of just thread it in a little bit, thread it out, keep spraying it, and it'll eventually work its way out of there. I bought this thread chaser kit a while back when I was working on my Evo. I had to replace the manifold bolts on the exhaust. The OEM studs that went in there were really gummed up, so I replaced them with titanium ones. It works really good. It's supposed to be much better than using an actual cutter. You use the tap. These things are really sharp, so it can cross thread and create new cuts. Sprayed some PB Blaster on there, just threaded it in, cleaned it out really good. It does pull out some shavings. A lot of that is that buildup that gums up, and then I use the nut on the actual bolt that goes through. Here's the OEM nuts that go on there. These were really rounded off, so I went ahead and just replaced them. It was really hard to find these flanged nuts that are smooth on the side. Everything that I found is serrated. I really didn't want it cutting into that aluminum on the swing arm. I was able to find some. It was like a 20 pack on Amazon. It is a 13 mil that goes on here instead of the factory 12. Fits in there and I can easily tighten it still. And I did put some anti-seize on there, so if they ever have to come out again, it won't be so hard. As far as getting the chain on, I'm going to give anybody else a little hint out here on getting this thing on, especially if you have an O-ring or an X-ring. You have to compress that outer gold piece that's on there, not the clip that goes on, but just the gold piece that's on there first. That way you can actually reach the grooves for this clip to slide through. I tried to use vice grips, I tried to use clamps, I tried to use some cheater bars on top of the clamps so that you don't mess anything up. Is just take the old master link, or if you can find another link, just press these out, put that on there so you don't damage these. And all I did is I used my chain breaker. I put it right in the center, and then as you tighten that thing down, it will smush it right on there, and it takes no effort at all. For this rear axle back here, I have a little bit of a plan right now, but I don't know exactly how to get this thing off. I ran up to Home Depot already. Luckily they had a 32 millimeter wrench in stock. From the top you can actually get a really good bite on it. Problem is I just don't have enough leverage to pull that off. Also thrown the impact on there, that won't get it off. I've already ordered a whole new setup. I got it off of eBay. There was one guy who had the rear axle, he had the blocks, he had the nut, washer, everything in really good condition. Worst case scenario, if I can't get this thing to spin off here in a little bit, I'm gonna actually just go ahead and cut it. Not sure if I'm gonna cut it or drill it on this side, or if I may just try to drill the nut out. One way or another, I'm gonna get this axle out of here. Once the new one comes in, I'll get it on, and then we'll get all these suspension clickers all set up. New axle is in, everything is tightened down, everything is finally good to go. Really debated long and hard on how I was gonna actually get this axle out of here, on how I was gonna get the nut off. I decided to just drill a hole. The plan was to initially drill a hole on one side and then drill it on the other and just break the nut in half. However, once I got the first hole drilled, I was able to just put my impact on there. I got the wrench on the other side and this thing came right off. The chain tension, I don't really go with the 3-finger method. Everybody's fingers are different sizes, so as far as the manual goes, I could not find the actual manual online. Most other dirt bikes, all other dirt bikes that I've read, usually around 2 to about 2.5 inches. I think I've got about 2 1/4. For the axle nut, I did not tighten it down to the 94 foot-pounds or 95 foot-pounds that it said. My Craftsman torque wrench only goes up to 75 foot-pounds, so that's what I've got it at. Should still be plenty tight. This thing should never come off of there. I don't actually feel like tightening it down is what actually caused this. I think something got boogered up in the actual threads. When I was taking the old one out, I did have a little bit of play, so that means that nut did back off of there a little bit. Very, very happy to have this on though. Very, very happy to have this finished. Really sucked that I had to wait a few days for new parts to come in, but it is what it is. I also went ahead and got all of my suspension clickers dialed in. Not exactly dialed in because I don't know exactly what I want them at just yet. I'm right at 160 pounds, so I feel like I'm a little bit lighter than most of the guys riding these things. On average, everything that I found online said that the compression should be anywhere from about 10 to 12. Same thing with the rebound, anywhere from about 10 to 14 is what I read online. I did go with the softer side because like I said, I am a little bit lighter. 12 clicks on the compression and then I did 14 clicks on the rebound. I don't know if these are the factory settings or if anybody's adjusted these at all yet, but the top was at 9 clicks out and the bottom was at 10 when I started. You do have to take this bar pad off. I could not reach the top clicker up here without removing the bars, so you do have to take those off. And for the rear shock, you have your low speed and high speed compression. Low speed was set at 9 clicks out. I went ahead and set it at 10. High speed compression was at about 2.5 turns. I set it at 2 1/4. I don't really have a rhyme or reason for my settings. It's just what I read online. I tried to get an average. I tried to read how much some of these guys weighed and what the settings they used. For your rebound, way down here, right behind the linkage here, this one was set at 8 clicks out and I just went ahead and set it at 10. I did also go ahead and try to test the sag by myself. It's a whole lot easier if you do have an extra person, but I was able to get a measurement while it was on the stand and then I was able to get on the bike. I was able to hold on to the welder over there. What I did is just taped my tape measure onto the end here and then I used a pin to mark at the very, very top of this. I am just in a shorts and a t-shirt right now. I don't have my boots. I'm not fully geared up, but these are the measurements that I got. So on the stand, we got 649.5 millimeters. Off the stand, bike by itself was 601.5. And then with me on it, I took actually a couple of different measurements and one was just a little bit higher than the other. So I took the average between the two, subtract these two, and you get 100 1/4. Factory suggestions say it should be anywhere between 100 and 105. I feel like with my helmet, with my boots fully geared up, it should add 2 or 3 millimeters onto there. That falls into the perfect factory specs, so I don't have to adjust the spring at all. Did put the helmet on. I am going to take this thing up and down the street really quick. I can't take it in the field back there. It just rained and it is really, really muddy. I don't really want to pull the pressure washer out and clean this thing off just for a little ride, but I just want to make sure everything feels okay. Just got back, got the bike all back on the stand. Everything feels absolutely amazing. Got a couple of shots on the helmet cam and then my cameraman over here filmed me going up and down the street. Do want to adjust this clutch lever just a little bit. It's turned down just a little bit more than I like. Brake lever feels perfect though over there. Everything back here, the whole drivetrain feels absolutely amazing. Tried doing a couple of wheelies, but it just kind of spun out. These brand new tires, there's not a whole lot of contact patch. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button. If you want to catch everything else going on with the channel, catch us head to the track with Jaggers 50 over there. Hit that subscribe button and I will catch you guys next time.